Hello, everybody. My name's Stephanie, and I'm from Cornerstone Create. Welcome to my YouTube channel and blog. Thanks for being here with me today. I haven't uploaded a video in about 2 weeks, and that's because I've been sick. So the video that I would have posted last week, this is it right here. I had the video done, and it sucks because, yeah, it was done, but my voice was, like, definitely atrocious, and I didn't want to subject y'all to like 20 minutes of me trying to sound like I'm a normal person when I'm not a normal person. So here you are a week later. You already saw the card, so let's jump right into making it. I'm going to start off with partial die cutting so I can make a semicircle in a white piece of cardstock. I used my pink and main stitch circle die for this, and even though the stitching is really nice, we're not going to see the stitching for this card because I'm going to cut that right on out using my Fisker's like finger knife. I like the finger knife a little bit better than I like the long-handled Fisker's knife. The finger knife gives me more control and it sticks to my finger, so it's not like I'm dropping it and almost stabbing myself in the hand or in the palm with this. It's one of those inventions that you never knew you needed it until you got it, and now it's the best thing ever. The first time I cut this, I cut it a little crooked, so I'm going back and I'm fixing it. And look at just that teeny tiny sliver of paper. Like, cutting this with this finger knife has definitely given me a lot more control because I don't think I'd have been able to do that with a long-handled knife just because I'm just not that dexterous. So I know this sounds weird, but I kind of felt like Edward Scissorhands, and like I was just able to think about it, cut it, just looked at it versus having the middleman of a knife. So let's get into the stamping. I placed all my little images on a white piece of cardstock, and I'm going to stamp this down with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. I'm using Memento because it's good for alcohol marker coloring, and like that's my go-to. So here's my favorite part of the video where you watch me color, you see the colors and the caps as I place them down, and I talk to you about just general life stuff because I can't really annotate what I'm coloring the whole time. It would be super boring. And I'm going to let you know that on the right hand side of my coloring, what I have my little swatches. I'm one of those people who I really didn't believe in swatching. And I still feel like, I don't know, I guess I'm converting because I don't have any swatches of anything, but here I am as I'm coloring, and I've done this in another video too. I just swatch out a little color and write down what it is beside it. So I might actually start swatching things now, but that's for a later time. Let's get to talking. So I've had an exciting life. I like it. I've lived it. I'm gonna keep on living it. But when it comes to how I first got into crafting, I would honestly say that the first thing I ever did was crochet. Matter of fact, nope, I'm gonna take it back even further. Sewing was the first thing that I ever did, and that kind of got me on into a lifetime of wanting to craft and doing things with my hand. But even if I had to do something before that, I would say my biggest influences, and like they really go back to a lot of things, have been my dad and my older brother. My dad always made things with his hands. That's how he made his money. He was a carpenter by trade, and he worked on construction sites, and that's just what it was. If my dad could do something with his hands, he did it with his hands. And like I just remember watching him fix cars. I remember watching him build things from scratch, and I always wanted to be able to do that. But my dad, he wasn't really about that life, at least not for me. He didn't want me to do anything physically hard, so he always encouraged me to read and just get my books on. And then there was my brother. My older brother was an artist. Some of his favorite things to do would be to make up original characters that he would just draw. He'd make up stories for them, and my brother is much older than me, and I just remember sitting with him, watching him draw, and he really seemed passionate about it, so it became something that I wanted to do as well. But I was never really good at drawing, so I had to figure out something that Stephanie could do, and that wound up being sewing. And I'd start off with small things. I remember making pockets. I remember making little drawstring coin purses, and then my aunt moved in to my aunt moved in beside my dad, and doors were literally like right across from each other. So my aunt, I guess she was crafty as well, so she taught me how to sew, and she just taught me how to do so many things. And I remember her saying, you know what, Stephanie, one day you're gonna make money doing this. And I talked to my aunt about this, and she doesn't remember this at all, but yeah, she does remember that conversation, but I do. And I mean, I haven't made any money doing it yet, but she might be right. She might be right. I mean, it stuck with me. So from sewing, I moved on to crochet, and I tried to do knitting a little bit, but it was just never my thing. I mean, I feel like when it comes down to those two needle crafts, either you sew or you either you crochet or you knit, but I haven't seen anybody who does both. So let me know in the comments if you do both. From there, I wanted to do tatting, and tatting is something that a lot of people don't know about, but it's a needlecraft where you kind of make lace. And my aunt also introduced me to that, but she doesn't remember doing that either. So I don't know, maybe I learned about it from somewhere else. But yeah, it was hard for me to find tatting needles or tatting shuttles, and because I didn't know anybody who could do it, I mean, I kind of let that one go to the wayside. But earlier in this video, you did see one of my tatting shuttles. I did take it up as an adult, and I have tatted a few things. Side note, tatting is also related to crochet, and it's a little bit related to not paracord making, but I don't know, I think latch hook. Macrame, that's what it is. Tatting is very much so related to macrame as well. So if you do any of those, you probably could tat as well. All right, side note over. So I kind of went back to crochet as being my base thing of what I would do. And then I got into origami. So origami was like my big pursuit as well. But crochet was always just my main background thing that I did. And as I got older, I kind of grew up and did paper crafts as well. So I would make things out of paper, toothpicks, popsicle sticks. I remember me and my sister even won a science competition for being able to make a bridge out of nothing but toothpicks and glue that could support a cinder block. So yeah, this was like a real deal thing for me. So let's move on to how I got into card making. Card making has been one of my latest hobbies. I picked this one up during my maternity leave for my youngest child. So we're kind of hitting up on a 1-year anniversary. We're getting pretty close. But I took it up because I was watching YouTube videos on how to do gift wrapping, and I was, I'm always looking for ways to snazz up my Christmas routine. And now that I definitely am the matriarch of a small and growing family, I'm just looking for ways to give my kids those good Christmas memories like I had as a kid. So I was looking up gift wrapping, and then just different card making tutorials came up, and I really liked it. So I got into it, and that's where I've been. I started my blog in February, and I think I started this YouTube channel in March, if not around the same time in February. So you guys have been with me pretty much from the beginning of my YouTube journey and from the beginning of my card making journey. I even got into scrapbooking, but and from scrapbooking a little bit more into mixed media. So my craft journey has been very long and very lifelong. And since we're talking about it, if you guys have any ideas for what you want me to cover on my channel, go ahead and drop a comment and let me know. Or go to my blog and let me know. Leave me a comment there, or send me an email. I'm more than happy to cover anything you guys want me to want to see on my channel. Now that we got a little bit of history out the way, let's talk about what I'm doing today. So the Scrap and Art Fair is happening over in Hampton this weekend on the 20th, which is the day, and the 21st. And I plan on attending at least a day. A lot of people are supposed to be there, and Pinkabama was supposed to be there, and I'm kind of disappointed because I'm scrolling through all of the vendors right now on my phone, and I'm not seeing that they're going to be there anymore. But when I saw the original advertisement, and this is the only advertisement I've probably ever pressed on purpose in my life, I saw the ad on a Split Coast Stampers, and yeah, it said Pink and Maine was supposed to be there, but I'm not seeing their name on the list anymore. But there are going to be other people there, like close to my heart. Inky Antics, Impression Obsession. I've heard of them. Kiwi Lane Designs. I follow Kiwi Lane on Instagram. Stampers Anonymous is going to be there. Those are the people that I've heard of, and then there are like at least 10 more companies that I've never heard of at all before, like Anthony's Papercraft, Endless Creations / Everyday Cards, Double Trouble, Scrapbooking, Just for Fun. I think I might have heard of them, but I'm not sure. Then there's Purple Daisy Design, Seaside Stamp and Ink. So it looks like it's going to be fun, even if Pink and Main can't be there, and I can't blow my whole $40 crafty budget there. And I'll be sure to take another video and let y'all know what's going on. So if you don't follow me on Instagram, go ahead and follow me on Instagram so you can catch all the scrapbook fair activities today when I get there. So getting back to my card, I'm coloring the Christmas tree at this point, and there was a tutorial on Instagram, and if I can find it, I'll let y'all know about how to color a realistic Christmas tree. And I wish I would have seen that tutorial before I colored my Christmas tree, but it would have looked kind of weird to have a super realistic Christmas tree with with very cartoony looking reindeers. So maybe it's something that I'll do later. Now that everything's colored, I'm going to go ahead and die cut all of my little items. I may or may not use everything, and matter of fact, I don't. One of my reindeer got messed up. He's a cute little one that's like sitting doing a split. But for the rest of them, I just put them up and I'll save them for a later project. I'm not even going to bother blending on this whole sheet of scrap white piece of cardstock, because I'm just going to do a big enough part to cover that semicircle that I cut out earlier in my other piece of white scrap. So the name of the game here is just to cover something and cover enough of the paper so that I can get a part that I like. And you know how it is. You'll blend something on a piece of paper, you like the top part, you don't like the bottom part. All I need to do is cover that semicircular area from before. Here I am going into that fossilized amber part. Like I said, I really didn't notice that there was that big of a difference between the wild honey and the fossilized amber. So maybe at a different time I can try and experiment around and see, but I really don't look at it. There's literally no difference. So I included it just to say that I did it because I really did. But I mean, if you were to recreate this card, don't even bother. Just choose one or the other. So now we're going to get into the whole point of why you use distress inks. The part where you flick on the water and you see what you get. This is one of my favorite parts about using distress ink, whether it be distress oxide or whether it be just regular distress ink. You get to flick the water up there and see what you get. You can't really control this part unless you use a stencil, and even then it'd be kind of hard to control. I don't know. So see what works for you. You might want to try doing this, making a pattern. Like I said, do it with a stencil, put on a different color, even do colored flecks of water, or try doing pearlized water with perfect pearl. So now I'm just cutting out this circle that's bigger than my semicircle, just so it'll fit behind my panel. And I'm gonna go ahead and set all this stuff down to my card base. But before I do that, of course, I have to stamp my sentiment. So this is one of the sentiments that came off of that stamp set, and I'm going to try my hardest to make sure that it gets straight. So I could have used my Tim Holtz, which is mostly what I use for stamping platforms, but I also have this We Are Memory Keepers of Precision Press Advance, and I'm going to use that because as you can see earlier, all my stamps from all the little reindeer from earlier, they're still up there, and I'm too lazy to put them back on the acetate sheet where they belong. So I'm just this is where it's really nice to have two stamp positioners, because you can be lazy like that. And now I'm going to stamp this down in Versafine. I'm stamping this down in Versafine just because Versafine is a darker black than Memento, and I know that sounds crazy. And when I first got into stamping, I would hear people say that, and it was just black is black. How is one not darker than the other? How is one lighter than the other if it's black? And put Memento and Versafine beside each other, and you'll quickly find out. So now I'm going to go ahead and put down my ornaments. I didn't know where I was going to put these on the tree, so I was just hey, let's hang these from the top, kind of like mistletoe. And it wound up being a lot harder of an idea to implement than I initially thought it would be. Like, I couldn't get the glue down. So yeah, seeing me struggle with this for a second. Like, I put the liquid glue down, but I couldn't get it to stay down because it kept sticking to me. And then I put my Tombow down. It just wound up being a mess, but it did eventually work. So at this point, I'm putting my color panel behind my semicircle cutout. I had to cut the circle down at the bottom just so it wouldn't be bulky, and I cut it down at the side so it wouldn't stick out. It didn't stick out a whole lot. I don't even think it stuck out at all, but I just wanted to be sure. So now that I flipped it over, this is what it looks like. I mean, I like it. As you can see from that space, the Christmas tree and like 3 reindeer aren't going to fit. So I kind of choose the best one for the job. I'm going to go ahead and do little details with my white Jelly Roll Sakura pen. And this is just to add like a little bit of I don't know, some details. Sorry if you hear the baby in the background. I know I'm going to stop recording when the children are awake. My older baby took something from the younger baby and now she's crying, but I just gave it back to her. So she should get over it in a second. But yeah, they're in the learning how to share phase. When it comes to adding little details with a white pen or any color pen, it really is just up to your own discretion. I added the white detail on the ornaments just so they look shiny, and I think it really did do that for my ornaments. But then I added it to the Christmas tree and the reindeer just so that their images wouldn't look so flat. So here I'm going to go ahead and use my Spellbinders Tool-in-One. That thing is really come in handy, more so than I thought it would. A lot of the times I use the little the black part up top to get paper out of my dies, and then the little pokey part at the bottom I use to get tape off of the back of sticky foam. And then there's another piece that a lot of people don't use, but it's like a little spatula, and I use that to like pick perfect pearls out of the bucket. Alright, so now here I am, and I'm actually going to attach my card front to my card base. I use my blue bone folder that came from one of these scoring boards that I have. I've lost so many of these, and I'm down to the last one. So now I'm going to use my clear Elmer's glue, and I'm just going to put this down. Like, this panel, I could have done this with my Tombow runner adhesive, but I really just feel like liquid glue is a little bit stronger. I'm not sure if there's any scientific evidence to it, but I just feel that way, and therefore when I have heavier panels, I use my liquid glue. I try not to put too much up there, and I apply it thinly so that it doesn't buckle underneath the paper and cause it to kind of like bend and wrinkle. But yeah, so now that it's done, the card is done, and I appreciate you for being here with me. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, leave me a comment, go on over to my blog so that you can see some materials that I use for this, where I have all the links for at least 2 of my favorite stores. Y'all have a good day, and make sure you do something that inspires you. Bye, y'all.